Pretty Little Liars, a television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings and the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we are 5 years in the future, but still like 5 years in the past, actually, for us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to like bring us up to ish, like current times.
Modern times, yeah. Because we started in 2010, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And this
So
would have been
it's
2015. Yeah, that would have been right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's because, like, you know, you wanted to use like modern technology and things like that, and you kind of have to.
I think also they just wanted to get him the hell out of high school.
No, I think that was really important too, but 5 years seems so random. Like they completely skipped college.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Because they were
like,
so much older.
Yeah, we don't want to have to deal with them in another school. We want to be able to use the town sets. We'll have some new ones, and they're just adults. They're just running around. And we just treat them like adults, not like 20-somethings. I mean, I guess in some cases it is like 20-somethings because Emily is still having to deal with like her mom. But
yeah, I think it's very much it's like really right after you graduate, weird time in your life where it's like it seems like some of your friends have like you're like, oh my god, you're already like a CEO of a company, and then you're like, oh wait, that's because you were born with money.
Yeah, it is. It does have the rom-com thing. It's just like, wow, everybody at 22, 23 is like so far in their careers. I mean,
or the people that aren't are like, oh my gosh, or like, what do I want to be? Or like Toby hasn't gotten a promotion in 5 years or whatever. Okay,
now that like Toby, you really think being a policeman is good in the long haul? You could be
Lorenzo dated Allison. Yeah. And somehow Toby doesn't get promoted. Lorenzo literally dated the person he was supposed to be protecting and then got mad when the girl who ran scams. And they're like, you know what? We should make him the head of this department. It's a commitment to having a shitty police department in Rosewood.
Commitment to ineptitude.
Yeah, I don't know if Toby'd be better. He got himself accidentally high.
Well, he's at least like, he's like ride or die for the cause. He's very much believes in it. He could just be a carpenter. Simple carpenter.
Building a house for Yvonne.
I know. And he's doing that on nights and weekends? Come on.
We can talk to you about the Toby and Yvonne thing because it's sad. I think it's sad.
Oh, it's very sad.
I think it's really sad for Yvonne. Like, yes. I think it's really unfair because, like, you can tell. I didn't remember this from watching it before because I was just like, so like, okay, just get them fucking back together. And then I'm like, what is this Spaleb thing? And then I'm like, well, that's kind of hot. Like, I'm kind of into it.
Okay.
I'm not super into it, but I was like, eh.
Yeah.
I would prefer for everyone to go back where they belong.
So, okay, the realization from this is like, okay, I don't like the Caleb side of the Spaleb thing, but also this is better for Spencer than Spoby. So I'm like, damn, I guess it just evens out. You get 3 stars.
You kind of feel like, oh, this person actually cares about Spencer in a way that Toby did not.
No. And Toby does, but Toby can't. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, he cared, but Toby, the way Toby showed that he cared is not compatible with how Spencer exists in the world.
No. And he still can't. It's to the point where he's in another relationship and Spencer's like, don't run away again. Yeah. Why are you packing up and leaving?
Don't run away, which means we know now what happened with them.
Yeah.
And also then you're like, oh, she's like, don't run away. And he's like, oh, you're leaving for sure. It's very like, if Spencer's staying around, if Spencer is going to stay, you know, he'd leave Yvonne. And it's just so sad.
It's incredibly sad. And also like, you know, it's actually maybe the most like 23 also. So don't be getting married. You should not be getting married.
No one should be getting married before like their late 20s or 30s.
But also this is the other thing about the show where it's like, Hannah's already getting married. Toby's getting married.
I remember watching this like the first time and I was like, because I was 2015, I graduated college. I was 22. And I was like, we had just moved in together. And I'm like, oh my God.
I just think
imagine if, like, I mean, we would have made it because we made it this long. But like, the odds are not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a smart game to play.
Yeah, you could like.
I mean, some people, you know, and that like people do what they do and it works out. But there's so many people that it's like the person I was at 22, 21 when we met, and the person I am now. Like, I look back at that girl and I'm like, oh my God, the fact that you're alive is a miracle.
That's who Lynn was singing about.
Lin-Manuel Miranda was looking at me at 21 and he was like, Jesus Christ, really? She's gonna make it to 30? And then
I was not the son that he was singing about. I don't even fucking like Hamilton, but it's got the song stuck in my head.
It's everywhere. But then and like the same with you, like the person you were then is not you. They don't even know each other. And so then as we grew, luckily for us, we grew in a way that was compatible. And we got very fucking lucky.
Yeah.
We also weren't married. So if it wasn't going to work, every time we renewed our lease, I'd be like, this is your chance to leave. Do you remember that? I used to do that to you. I'd be like, you want to leave me now? Because it's going to be the cheapest now. And if not, you're stuck for another year. That's probably why we made it. I renewed our contract often. You know, we revisited the contract. We had our one-on-one.
That's right. Exactly. We reviewed our goals.
We said, you know what? Maybe this is the year we cut back on drinking.
Right. I think looking ahead, maybe we want to start some of this life planning.
What if we slept at least 8 hours every night?
You know, still working on that goal.
Same. But like, I mean, like, yes, like, I have friends that have been with their partner since they were.
Someone's at the door. Someone is at the door.
Long story short, live together, live in sin, don't get married before like your late 20s or 30s. Go through your Saturn return first.
Yes. Absolutely.
Which is like astrologically like somewhere in 27 to 30-ish.
And your 20s. Yep.
Yeah, and your 20s. Yeah, you go through all the big feels. You have lots of big cries.
Yeah, and I think the show is 100% aligned on that too, because everybody that is going to get married right now is kind of like, Hannah's still processing things, even though she's like A-okay. But it's like, there was a reason she was dragging her feet that we just, you know, have not been fully shown yet. But I mean, she was kind of waiting on Caleb. And now that she's like, well, okay, I've given my blessing to Spaleb, we can move forward with our wedding. Which, fair enough. But also, like,
but she wasn't waiting for him because she apologized. She's like, I didn't mean to start dating anyone while you were away, basically.
Right. But she doesn't make moves on the wedding until. And then there's the whole Toby situation where it's just like, boy, you need to get your head together here. You can't, you know, you gotta grow up enough to not be shook when your ex is in town. Yeah.
Especially like if you're friends.
Yeah, totally. If you can't be friends, that's
fine.
Well,
also because like he reacts worse than Hannah, and we can talk about that when we get to it. When Caleb's like, "Hey, I'm gonna. Is it cool if I date Spencer?"
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, well, I gotta go do things.
I gotta go propose to my girlfriend.
Yeah, it's
but
fine.
I'm not going to.
It's fine. It's fine. But I gotta go now."
So fucking weird.
Yeah, Toby. I had you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you.
Tell me to shush and then hit me in the head.
I was reaching for you, but I forgot you had the headphones on. So I was like, what the hell is that?
So.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's get into it.
Pause. I had the wrong tab open. Season 6, episode 13, episode 133. The gloves are on.
The fuck does that mean?
It's like a code. It's like a code word or a passphrase. You'd say it's like the gloves are on, and someone like nods to you, like, that's right. So, like, one of the things, like, in my sorority and like in all sororities, I assume, is there's like a secret like password you give for like certain like ritual thingies, and the one that was like mine, like I don't think I'm allowed to say it. Like I think I could actually get in trouble. I don't really know what they do, but they have a lot of money because I paid them a lot of money at one point. They were collecting from a lot of people, but you say these secret passwords and they're so fucking stupid. And like, because you'd find out what other people's were, you know what I mean? People talk and like, or you'd learn other houses' secret handshakes, and you're like,
the dumbest shit I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I remember learning, I think our friend Matt taught us like whatever his was, and it's just like stupid.
I think one of the frats was the same as ours. And so like they were like, this is ours. And I was like, no, it's not.
That's ours.
And a bunch of kids get drunk and hang out and they're like, ooh, I have a secret. You want to hear my secret?
It's 100% true.
Like, what the fuck? I don't regret my sorority days, but I do question them.
And, for lack of another example, if you think that the gloves are on is a phrase that prompted all this, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Are we ready then?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hannah, Spencer, and Emily are having a spa day at the Radley. Spencer's wondering why Aria lied to them. Hannah tells them the tape is erased, and Spencer and Emily freak out. Hannah also tells them that the sauna smells like burnt hair because it used to be Radley. And then Emily and Spencer are both like, oh, time to leave. Emily notices Sarah after Spencer and Hannah leave the room. Emily notices Sarah Harvey in a room over having a spa day to herself. And then Emily walks over and is like, how long have you been here? And why are you following me? Sarah's like, I wasn't following you. I was saying goodbye to someone at the gravesite. And Emily asks, like, who? And interrogates her about Charlotte. And Sarah stonewalls her. Aria FaceTimes with Liam and he notices Pigtunia behind her. A little shout out to all of us.
Pigtunia, baby! I was
That's
like,
right.
Ooh. Pigtunia's in like the first episode too, I think.
Oh, so Liam's a Pigtunia head too.
I think they talk about Aria having like her stuffy or whatever at the beginning. I don't remember if it was a puppet or not, or what the... Because we didn't know Pigtunia yet. Like, we know Pigtunia now.
Exactly.
Pigtunia's the best thing that came out of those books.
That and Lucas's hot air balloon ride.
Oh, yeah.
More on him later. Aria is telling Liam she sent Fitz's pages over, but he's saying he didn't get it. Jillian is apparently overworking with Fitz, and she called Liam and sounded... because Fitz called her, and Fitz sounded wasted at like 11 a.m. And Aria's like, what? No, that doesn't sound like him. Ashley meets...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Aria at this stage is in full, like, I will not comprehend anything that does not serve me, and I'm going to move at like 100 miles an hour to like cut it off.
Yes, and she's so protective of Fitz. For what fucking reason?
I don't know.
What fucking reason, girl? He groomed you. Like, this
Totally.
is not a good man.
Oh, man. Emily's line later is just absolutely devastating, and then Aria looks at her like, how dare you?
What does Emily say later?
Oh, she was like, Aria's like, that was high school, and Emily's like, not for him.
Oh, yeah.
And Aria just like, really? I do like feral Aria.
Okay, so my favorite thing about the time jump is feral Aria. Because she gets into some shit, because she's already careening.
Not to jump ahead again, but another one of my favorite scenes is like Emily and Sabrina having a nice conversation, and Aria just immediately comes in and like, I need to talk to my friend.
And Sabrina's like, I used to smoke pot. You should try it.
You should mellow out. So funny. Ashley meets with Lorenzo in the lobby of the Radley. He says that the tape is missing from the night that Charlotte was murdered, and the tape is missing that a large chunk of time from the night Charlotte died, starting at midnight and going until noon the next day. Ashley is surprised like this, that it sounds like it was supposedly deleted. Hannah meets Lucas at the brew. Apparently he tried to honk at her outside and was driving a silver Jag. He sold like 2 previous companies. I have just a previous company, but I could have sworn it was like a couple. And then he sells game maps now and has places in Palo Alto and Hong Kong.
And Rosewood.
And Rosewood, yes. So he's just a few years away from going all in on crypto. Hannah catches him up on being with Jordan and not Caleb. She runs out to call her boss. Melissa comes into the barn and is surprised to find Caleb there. Spencer comes in annoyed that she's being told what she can talk about on the campaign trail. Caleb walks out to make toast, and Melissa wants the details on Spencer and Caleb. Spencer's like, we're just friends. And Melissa's like, really? I know how you like to shop out of other people's carts.
That's my favorite Melissa line ever.
So
I know how you like to shop out of other people's carts.
Spencer says there's nothing going on. Emily goes to leave, and Pam is annoyed because she thought they were having lunch together. Emily says, I have to go get something, and Pam says, I spoke to your dad's friend, and he'd be happy to write you a rec for grad school. Emily leaves, and Pam finds a letter from Pepperdine that was forwarded to her house, and then proceeds to open it.
That's a federal crime, Pam. I don't know technically. Like, I guess, yeah.
I mean, she's an adult.
Yeah.
Or I guess it was since it was also forwarded to her house.
But it was in Emily's name.
Yeah, okay. Ashley asks if Hanna deleted the security tape, and Hannah's like, no, I didn't. She then sees Fitz and Aria walk into the lobby. Ashley gets a message from Lorenzo that they confirm the tape was erased, and she has to go into the station for questioning. Aria and Fitz have lunch, and Fitz immediately orders a beer. Aria looked through his thumb drive and found a bunch of horrifying images, and he's like, it's just research. He hands her a notebook full of his first draft, but he insists it's awful. Ashley then walks over and says the waiter is going to bring you 2 iced teas, and we can't serve you a beer. And he's like, what? I mean, it wasn't even like that big of an incident. Like, nobody broke a chair or something. And she's like, it was an incident.
So now we know Ezra's the town lush.
Uh-huh. Spencer is at Hollis on the campaign trail for an event for her mom. A journalist asks her if she's staying in town because of Charlotte's death, and she gets annoyed he's trying to make a connection between her and the death. Hanna runs in and says she's in trouble. Pam tracks down Emily downtown and hands her the Pepperdine letter, and Pam, well, when I say tracks down, I mean screams at her and runs down the road.
In the middle of the street, in the middle of the city.
With it.
It gave me like a clear image, like the exact type of person that would do that. And I'm like, that would be Pam.
That is 100% Pam. Pam's like, was it all lies? And starts digging into Emily as Emily spots Sarah watching her from a park bench and asks Pam to talk about this elsewhere.
Can I point out my highlight of this whole con Emily ran? She has fake graduation photos.
Yeah. Like she went the whole 9 yards.
Could you imagine? Also, like, but Pam didn't come for graduation? Like, there's a lot of holes here. I'm like,
that's true. Pam would absolutely be there for graduation.
Also, like, you can walk at graduation without graduating, as long as you're close.
Well, she wasn't.
But
close.
she wasn't. So, like, how is she? What is?
Yeah, and so that would have been like 2 years after Wayne died, right?
Question mark.
Yeah.
The timeline's a little fuzzy because we
didn't see him.
Yeah.
Go down. Hanna tries to get Spencer to ask her mom to help them.
It's a horrible way to phrase that.
Very horrible way to phrase it.
We don't really know what happened either.
We don't, do we?
We just know he died.
He had his heart condition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't know what happened.
He got soap operas disease. Hanna tries to get Spencer to ask her mom to help them. Spencer's like, she can't do that. Hanna says the police know who stayed at the hotel that night and we're all going to get questioned. Spencer walks back over to the journalist who recognized Hanna as someone who was also a victim of Charlotte as well, and Spencer decides to shut down the interview. Emily and Pam talk, and Emily says she couldn't come clean to her. Pam shows her a photo of Emily in a cap and gown, he said, and Pam says you must have got that at a costume shop. Hanna visits Lucas at his apartment above the grill and asks for his help. Hanna asks if he was in town the night Charlotte was killed. He's like, why? Hanna's like, well, the police are thinking that, like, me and the friends could be guilty, and, like, could you pretend that, like, you and I were, like, hanging out that night? Lucas is shocked by this, and Hannah's like, never mind, I shouldn't have asked. And then he stops her and says, if you need me, I'm there for you. Aria reads Fitz's story to Emily and says, it's amazing. Emily asks if he's writing about Aria, and Aria's like, no, it's about... Aria immediately goes, no, it's about Nicole. We're like, he dated, like, he just dates like small petite women. Get a grip. Aria says, why would you say that? Like, it was high school. And then Emily's like, not for him. Emily's on edge and tells her about being scared of Sarah. And then Aria says, you have to go to dinner with your mom. Like, why don't you just go have dinner with your mom? Go relax. And Emily's like, no, I'm not doing that. Spencer comes over to Hannah's, and Spencer apologizes for being mean to her earlier and brushing her off. Hanna says Lucas will be their alibi. Hanna gets a call from Jordan, but she ignores it. And then Spencer says, she's like, I'm going to call him back in a little bit. Spencer says, you seem so happy. Is it weird seeing Caleb? Hanna says, no. Why is everyone asking me about Caleb? Spencer's like, oh, I didn't realize someone else had. And things get awkward. And Hannah's like, do you have feelings for him? And Spencer's like, mm-hmm. And then Hannah's like, well, did you, like, hook up in Spain? And Spencer's like, no, I wouldn't do that. But, like, I don't even know if he feels the same way. And then Hanna says, I think you should find out. Nice little moment. Aria, I guess. Aria meets Fitz.
Sure.
Fair.
I mean,
Hannah being the bigger person.
you
being
don't want
like,
to add
whatever.
more characters this late in the show, but like you also want like some sort of variety. I feel like they should have like why add characters for Toby or like Allie and not the main girls?
Yeah, Toby is essentially a Roblox, so he can have this sort of complication where he's not over Spencer.
Yeah, and then she has to be like Spencer's foil.
Yeah. Aria meets Fitz to show him an edited and printed manuscript and tells him how good it is. She tells him he needs to finish this book and talks him up and says he's compassionate and kind. He's like, maybe I'm not. Spencer visits the journalist at Hollis and wants to see if he's doing a story on the girls. He's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, well, then why do you have a sticky note that says to call Mona? And he's like, well, Mona's working for the other camp. She tried to work for your mom, but was shown the door.
So what are Mona's political affiliations? Also, what is Yvonne like?
Opportunistic.
Is this a primary? Is this a
Yeah, why was Mona trying to go to work with Spencer's mom?
Once again, like I just have a lot of questions about the politics of like this election.
Yeah.
Like, are they both like Democrats running for the same seat? Are they a Democrat and a Republican? Are they, what's the vibe here?
Yeah, because at least right now it seems like, other than the file details that they get, and they're like, oh, you got to read up on the other camp. It's like all very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't ever see him debate yet. So maybe that'll come up soon. Mm-hmm. And then what's Mona's job? Does she live here and is trying to do this? Has Mona been like just working within Pennsylvania politics?
I think Mona's been in DC, but now she's stuck there too because of the. I think she's stuck there too because of the thing.
Oh, okay, so then
she
tried to go.
Also would have a reason. She'd have motive for pushing.
Or
why was I miming? Like
you're trapped in the box, or hitting Charlotte in the head, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what we learned. Yeah.
Hannah, Emily, and Aria catch up on Lorenzo coming after them. Hannah notices that Allison hasn't called them since the dinner. Isn't that interesting? Aria gets a FaceTime from Liam. He says if Jillian doesn't have anything from Fitz by tomorrow, she's moving on. Aria's like, she's wrong. She'll have something on her desk by tomorrow. Tell her that. And they hang up. And Hannah and Emily wonder why she's all invested in Fitz. Emily goes to meet her mom, and Hannah asks Aria what she'll say to the police. Aria's like, I was asleep the whole time, remember? And Hannah then goes to walk out and sees Emily injecting something into her leg in the bathroom. Hannah waited for Emily downstairs and tells her she saw her. Emily says, I am not sick or anything. I'm just broke. And then comes clean on lying about things. She lost all the money her dad left, and one of the girls she bartended with told her about donating her eggs. She's taking the injections before the procedure. Hannah says she'll lend her the money, like whatever money she needs, and Emily's like, I want to do this. It makes me feel good. I am helping some people start a family. Hannah's like, well, I wish you told me sooner, and talks Emily up about how good Emily is.
Do you remember? So when we were in college, there were things everywhere, like to get young women to donate their eggs.
Mm.
And I didn't qualify. There's many things wrong with me.
I can't remember if
I did not. There were multiple benchmarks Emily did not meet in the sense of like health and just like.
Do you have to be like a certain like weight and things like that?
Oh, it wasn't like that. It was like your health history and like I think like you weren't supposed to have done like drugs and alcohol or like you might have been able to drink. I don't really know. I just remember like reading the list and being like, nope. I mean, I wasn't gonna do it anyway because like that just sounded very uncomfortable for me, and like it didn't seem like a lot of money for how invasive a procedure that is.
Yeah, I do remember it being a big thing.
I don't like. I just don't. I didn't. I like if there was someone that I was like, oh, like I personally felt like giving my eggs or like donating my eggs so someone could have a family or like that. But like to do it just for the money, like which is how they kind of marketed towards college students, it didn't really seem worth it.
Yeah.
But I don't. Once again, I don't know what it is now. But my favorite part of that whole scene was the whole time Hannah is eating frozen, like the frozen tubes of juice that you buy. So you like you then
like orange juice concentrate.
Yeah, like the concentrate that you mix in water, and then you can use like your fun Pampered Chef plunger to break it up. Just eating that with a spoon, like sorbet. And I was like, I feel like the pink lemonade one would be really good.
We got some in the freezer.
Maybe one day we'll try it.
Maybe after
Next
this.
week on the podcast, you guys are going to see me sitting here with my little spoon.
I want a little. I do a little orange pink lemonade mix now.
Mix them up, yeah. Oh, it'd be just like making a Dole Whip. I just thought it was really funny. I was like, because she stress eats. And so, like, to show her stress eating, but like that, like there was nothing in Aria's freezer or whatever, like for her to stress eat. It was like, I'm gonna eat stress
Orange
eat
juice,
this concentrate.
I think one of them asked, like, "Do you want water for that?" And she's like,
Aria's
"No."
like, "Do you want water for that?"
Aria reads through Fitz's book and starts typing it up. Hanna gets interrogated by Lorenzo and uses Lucas as an alibi. He's like, "Funny that you should say that," and then has Lucas come in. And then Lorenzo starts poking holes in their whole story. Spencer comes home and finds Melissa crying. She says she botched things with the reporter from Hollis. She saw things on his pad that said source, cover up, and tape. Melissa asks what happened to the tape she left for Spencer, and Spencer's like, "I destroyed it. It's gone." And Melissa runs upstairs crying, and Spencer texts Aria that someone saw the hotel tape and Fitz needs to talk. Emily visits the Radley to talk with Sarah, who's at the bar. Emily demands to know why she's here. Sarah says the police asked her to stay. Emily asks why she was at Charlotte's funeral. Sarah says, "I was lucky. I walked out at all. You and your friends, like, all seem so guilty. Should I just take my gloves off?" And Emily's like, "We wouldn't do anything. We couldn't do anything. It all happened so quick." Sarah asks, "Who are you trying to convince, me or you?" Okay, when we see this scene later, this is like a wild thing to say. This is so off base.
It makes no fucking sense.
It's so wild.
It's a Pretty Little Liars plotline, but it's not even like a Pretty Little Liars plotline where you're like, this to me is similar to Ashley dating or like hooking up with Jason. You're just like, why the fuck did this happen?
Also, if I were the friends, the girls, I would not feel guilty in the slightest.
Also, like, it's very scarring to watch someone get injured, and obviously, like, watching
it's a very scarring thing that happens.
Yes, but I don't think you're supposed to touch a person who's being electrocuted.
No. And that's what Allison does. She goes, "Stop."
Yeah, don't. Allison stops them from.
So it's like, yeah, we literally couldn't do anything.
I mean, I guess maybe because they left her there to go.
Also, you tried to blow us up.
Yeah. Well, she tried to protect them. She didn't want them to go over there. She locked them in the other room.
Oh, that's true. Well, she's going to blow up their friend.
Yeah.
But still, she lied to all them and, was playing games. And
yeah,
there's a lot of reasons for it.
There's a lot going on.
It just made it seem like they had an active thing to, like, make her hands burn when it was all Sarah's fault.
They wanted, like, a Jenna thing parallel, but, like, it's not.
No, and then they just rush it out and they're like, "Okay, we're done with that." That's what I was like, oh, did they burn another girl? No, they didn't.
You would think I would have remembered that scene, and like I knew her hands got injured like during that part. So I think I said that last week, but I could not for the life of me. Like if like that picture in my head was not there, and when I saw it, I was like, "Good God!"
You're like, "What?" Aria visits Fitz and says the others are on their way, but they can't hear this because she comes into his apartment first. "I know you were angry about Charlotte. I know you did this to protect me. I will help you." There's then a knock at the door and Fitz lets the rest of them in. Fitz is pissed at being accused. Hanna then yells at him to own up to what he did. Spencer then says, let me talk to him. Like, it's okay. And then tell him why he's guilty. She's like, "Let me take this," and then proceeds to talk down to him. Emily then jumps in, and Spencer says, "You read that paper I wrote, and that's why you got the idea to kill her." Fitz says, "You all need to leave." Emily then demands to know where Fitz went after Aria left. Fitz goes quiet, and Emily yells at, "Why can't you say anything?" He then yells at them super loud to all leave. Hanna, Spencer, and Emily leave, and Fitz says, "Aria, you need to leave too." "You've known me how long?" Aria says, "I don't know you." Fitz says, "I'm not sorry that Charlotte is dead." And then Aria leaves. Spencer comes home and finds Caleb awake. He asks where she's been, and she says she was with the friends. She asks Caleb who Caleb thinks killed Charlotte. Caleb's like, "Probably Sarah." Spencer says,
Caleb's sitting there like, "I think."
Yeah, this is my best guess. Spencer says, "I don't think Sarah did it, but she knows more than she's letting on. Something happened the night of the prom that no one knows about." Flashback. We get the scene in Radley where Allison runs downstairs and tells everybody that Charlotte's about to jump off the ledge from the mid-season finale. Friends go to run, and Sarah goes to stand up after getting punched, and then puts her hands on a live wire and electrocutes herself. And then Allison stops anybody from helping her, and we all feel guilty about this. Why? Spencer,
Maybe because they left her there to run upstairs to go stop Cece from jumping or whatever.
I guess. Spencer feels guilty and says, "What if all those years of me being stalked and tortured hardened me? You didn't do anything." Caleb then tells her she's a good person. Well, I understand feeling weird, I guess. Pam waits for Emily on the stoop with wine. Emily comes home and sits next to her mom. Pam says, I never want you to go through something alone. We can get through this together. And then promise that, like, if you're going through anything in the future, you'd tell me. And Emily says yes. Hannah visits Lucas, and she says, I had no right to ask you to do that. Lucas asks if she had anything to do with Charlotte's death. Hannah says, no, you're brother than my mom. I think she's been wanting to ask me the same thing. Lucas hands her the keys to his apartment because he's flying back to San Jose, and she's welcome to stay there. Aria gets a call from Liam. He says the chapters you sent are great. Jillian ate them up, and Aria is surprised. Spencer and Caleb wind down with some beers, and Spencer goes to confess her feelings, and Caleb grabs her hand, and they kiss. Then we get a montage where Emily and Hannah get a text and look sad. Someone tries to call Spencer while her and Caleb hook up. Aria works on Fitz's book and gets a text, and she reads it. It says, you know who did it, and I'm going to make you talk. And there's a little devil emoji. We see a bunch of alley masks and shrink wrap. Someone opens a box with hoodies, black hoodies, and then throws them all away. They then Google uniforms.
Some info.
There's like, okay, that this isn't the old A like doing this. There's a new era,
but they have the old A stuff,
right? But it's just funny because it's like, okay, they couldn't just like stop by like we got rid of all the old uniforms. They have to actually type in uniforms.
We need new ones. Okay. Why didn't Hannah just tell everyone from the beginning that she erased the tape? I have a lot of these questions are going to be, why the fuck didn't they just say something?
Everybody should just be, yeah. Everybody's running around so much more aggressive now because they're older and they're like, fuck this. We're not going to like take this sitting down, but they're also not filling each other in. So I think that's really fun that everybody is running. They're like, okay, we can just deal with this and not like stopping to think at all because they're older and more served now and full adults, but like also are still young
and idiots.
Yeah. Yes. It is. Hannah should have just said it from the beginning. But also Hannah's like, was that the right call?
What is Sarah doing? Why is she following Emily? What's going on?
I feel like Sarah at this point is maybe just being around to just be like, I can rattle her. I don't. Apparently it's this big thing between all of them that they let her hands fry, and so now Sarah's like, well, I'm gonna get revenge on all you for what you did to me. You're the one who touched a live wire. Why are there live wires?
Because they cut the bomb apart.
Oh right.
Why was Sarah?
It was an accident.
Why was Sarah sitting in the town square?
I feel like a lot of these things, it could be coincidence. Well, at least like Emily seeks her out when she's at the Radley. I mean, she's staying at the Radley. Town square, it's like, well, I'm time to get out and rattle Emily some more. Maybe I'll see her if I wait in the park long enough. Then Emily will show up. She's actually been there for like half the day. She's hungry and tired and thirsty.
There we go. Okay. So then thinking about Emily, it's like she really ran the scam with the grad photos.
Emily really did. I mean, they're all really good at lying. And that just shows. She's like, I can, when she slips back into it, she can really do it.
And she's lying to her mother. Well, she's been lying to all of them for like a year, if not more now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess like, so is it more that Wayne died close to her graduation and then she failed out? It seems like it was earlier in college.
I felt like it was like
sophomore year or something.
Junior year, maybe. Like it was like a couple years ago.
Okay.
Emily's donating her eggs plotline. What do we think?
It's a really bad red herring. I don't know. And then it's like this weird thing. It's like, I'm helping she like, it puts this like moral value on this.
I mean, there is to an extent, like you are helping people who can't have a kid have a kid. Like you're giving them the opportunity to have a family.
Right. But she's like processing it as like, well, this was like a way for me to like
have purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's like the framework of like, this gives me purpose when it's like, it is a really wonderful thing to do. And it does give you a short-term purpose, but that's not a long-term solution to your lack of feeling like purpose or fulfilled or knowing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also okay to do things in the interim that make you feel good, but like you still have to then be thinking about like, okay, what am I doing with myself next?
Right.
Which of course these girls can't do because they're trapped.
Absolutely.
I'm like really critiquing this poor girl who has been tortured her whole life and is trapped in a town that she can't leave.
Oh yeah. And the sight of so much horrific trauma, not to mention her father, all the shit going on with her dad that she's just only beginning to process.
Mm-hmm.
So
Spencer's the only one who mentions going to therapy out of all of them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Uh-huh. And I'm like, oh. Because she's worried about it affecting her mom's campaign and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
And I'm like...
And Spencer is acting, well... Maybe Hannah is the one that's actually... I mean, again, we've got... We're back to maybe third act Hannah, where Hannah's just like, yeah, I can kind of like work through things. She's doing some irrational stuff.
I think she's not processing. I think Hannah is like, everything's fine.
Right.
Here's a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine.
But she can extend grace to everybody else.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
It's maybe not it's maybe the I'm helping everybody else out, but like in the long run, I'm not doing what's best for me.
Mm-hmm. So then...
But maybe Spencer in that framework is probably doing the best out of all of them.
Lucas is a Silicon Valley boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got he's girl bossing.
Uh-huh.
He's a boss babe with his silver jag.
Absolutely. This is a kid who sold a company and is now working on game apps by the time he's 23.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably only a few short years away from like a like a WeWork sort of disaster. Running a company.
Do you think Lucas has helped Hannah with his like testimony and alibi, or do you think it's just going to cause more problems for her?
Oh my god, it's such a dumb move. Like Lorenzo easily picks it apart. He's just like, yeah, okay, I can just ask questions. Also, Lorenzo knew ahead of time. He's like, she's going to go to Lucas.
I think that Lucas came in to give, like, he was there preemptively.
Oh, okay.
Like, Lucas was like, I've heard this is going on. I want to show up and help Hannah. And I do think what Lucas does really well is he plays the part that he was in high school, which is this, like, it's Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so upset. I'm so in, like I can't not respond to Hannah because I have this unrequited crush or like love for her.
And that's what he plays in the
mm-hmm.
in the interrogation, like to differing effects of just like, yeah, I was like trying to take advantage of her.
Mm-hmm. I thought we might drink and you know, see where it went.
But I wasn't drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorenzo's immediately like, okay, none of this timeline makes sense. And there's no ice machine on the floor you're talking about.
Would you use Lucas's fancy penthouse? Would you stay there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you don't want to stay. You're like, I don't want to be at the Radley anymore.
Okay, but like, let's say,
I don't know why.
I have a friend in my hometown, right, who's
mm-hmm.
somehow gotten super wealthy, whatever. I knew in high school. We go to visit my hometown, and I'm like, oh, he's letting me stay in his house, and then you come visit. Isn't that fucking weird? Like,
oh, for like Jordan?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Like, and they're all just like staying there. And
yeah.
especially because we know Lucas has always loved Hannah.
Yeah.
It's not like Lucas is like Toby.
Exactly.
Who's like, oh, this was my best friend's ex-boyfriend and he's just this nice guy and he's a cop or whatever.
Uh-huh. There's like not literally nothing else.
Like cops, but Caleb, like it's not. Well, but Caleb doesn't work. But like, let's say it was like, let's say if Aria was staying at Caleb's penthouse. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
It's weird because it's Lucas.
So she's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Because he immediately fawns back over, even though he plays the part, but he is also like anything for you.
He's acting. Yeah. He's acting like himself. He's just playing into it.
Exactly. He made a lot of money, but is not grown up enough.
No, he's 23.
Yeah. And you come back. Exactly. And you come back home and you fall into old patterns.
And you don't have to grow up because you have money.
Yep. There you go.
I'm watching. I see those guys with their Patagonias and their cars.
Their Teslas.
Their Tessies.
Is that what you call them, Tessies?
Yeah. Let's talk about Aria. Aria does not believe that Fitz's book is about her. Is it about her?
Oh, it's absolutely about her. She does believe it. That's why she's like so like hard against like not. I don't want to think about this.
But then she typed up because he hand wrote the first chapter.
Mhm.
God bless, my hand hurts when I write the notes for this.
Same. I have a hard enough time keeping up.
And then she wrote, we presume, the next chapter or whatever.
That's what I was assuming too.
So
that it's all
she's writing it.
yeah. So they collabed on a book.
But he doesn't know they collabed on a book. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
Oh, absolutely. You mean the guy who is drinking his days away, being like, "Oh, goddamn, took my girlfriend," and is going to be a little. I don't want my book like going big. Is going to be pissed. Yes.
Why won't Ezra just say that he didn't do it?
It's going to be a really dumb reason. I just know it. It's going to be a really dumb reason. At the very least, he was just like outside the church watching her. And then he was like, I was going to do something. And then I decided not to. And it just would have looked so much more guilty if like knowing that I was standing outside the window watching her walk in there who I didn't see who she was talking to with a hammer.
Didn't he already do a Jekyll and Hyde lesson? I'm just like, I feel like that's what would have played really well into this.
Oh, yeah. We already did. But that was when we thought he was A. So, yeah, it's dumb. But in that scene, I will, at least slightly come to his defense here. Imagine if your ex and her 3 friends came in and were like, you just started just like yelling at you and accusing you of something you didn't do. I would be incensed as well. I completely understand his reaction.
Yeah, but he stalked them to write a book. So, like, I feel like they should get a lot of leeway on how they behave around him.
It's fair enough. Just from, like, his perspective. I just imagine just people, you're, like, having, you're having your sad boy whiskey night. And a bunch of people come over to yell at you.
Everyday sad boy whiskey night.
In my boxers eating Cheetos and having scotch.
Ooh.
That's right. That's right, yeah. Bunch of dirty boxers with Cheeto prints on them.
Just a little Cheeto dust everywhere. Why didn't Veronica Hastings hire Mona?
I feel like Veronica is just like...
You tortured my daughter.
Yeah, I don't like you.
Well, she was the first A.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
I could see not... Also, like, everyone's like, she didn't get hired by that camp. Well, yeah, she has a reputation. And granted, she's better. Like, I think people should get to rehabilitate. Like, you shouldn't always judge people based on, especially who they were at, like, 15.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's their loss.
But I also think that it's absolutely valid for someone whose child was the victim of that person to be like, you know what? Maybe not close to my family.
Veronica forgives, but she doesn't forget.
Well,
because
yeah,
and there's many things I'm sure since apparently Peter is campaigning for her. Like if Peter steps out of line, she's reminding him. So yeah, I completely understand where she's like, no, Mona.
Mm-hmm.
But from my perspective, her loss.
Totally. Melissa's tape. Did Spencer actually destroy it?
I would assume. Well, no. Spencer's got it somewhere, just like on a hard drive or something. It's always a good day where we get reminded of what Melissa did.
That Melissa literally killed someone?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For family.
Dominic
Toretto can only... he can't even come close to doing what she's done for family.
So then is the note that she saw on the person's notepad, is it about her tape or is it about Ezra's?
Oh, I think Spencer's much more on the money.
Or is it about something else?
It seems, yeah, I think he absolutely is like looking into the friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's about Fitz's tape, but I think it's about the tape being missing. I think when Spencer goes, someone saw Fitz's the tape, I think it's actually more just like, hey, we know that the tape is missing of the night. And he probably put together that it's also the Radley, which is owned by Ashley, whose daughter is Hannah Marin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they had cooler heads, and if Spencer also wasn't like Melissa and being like, I saw something on a notepad and I'm immediately freaking out, or like circumstantial evidence, which this is also probably all stuff that Spencer's working on in therapy. She's just immediately getting triggered by these things. Sometimes it's just not related.
The Spaleb kiss and makeout scene is set to Ring of Fire, but like, I don't think it is Lana Del Rey, but like a Lana Del Rey version.
Mm-hmm. Not my favorite.
What do you think that means for their relationship?
You know, they're playing. Well, I mean, they're playing with fire. I mean, there's it's going to cause problems. It's not 100% okay with like all parties involved, and guess what? It's going to cause some friction.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because they did do everything right. You know what I mean? They asked.
By the book.
It's also been years. It's not like
No.
Caleb and Hannah broke up last week. It's like they broke up 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
They were broken up when they ran into each other, but they didn't act on that, and they haven't acted on anything for the last like however long.
I think when we just see that both parties, both exes, are like not fully moved on, and that's not their, you know, again, they do things by the book, and then it's not their, they go essentially above and beyond too. But it's not their burden to deal with their feelings.
How did our current A get all of the old A stuff? Where was it? Was it like in evidence somewhere? Was it in like a storage unit somewhere that they never found?
Because it does seem like an A like storage facility. I would assume storage unit, because then they empty it out and then leave it the hoodie in a trash can in the empty storage unit, right? It looks like a storage unit.
You're
right.
I'd
assume that Charlotte, being locked away, wasn't able to make payments and got put up for auction. There's one of those that's around this time, like Storage Wars or something.
Yes.
So the current A is like doing auctioning.
God, what an entertaining television program.
I never watched them.
You just never knew what you're gonna find in there. I don't understand. Like, I totally get it if you like that's like something you're doing for a hobby, but like to me the idea of having to sort through even more junk is like so stressful.
I was gonna say you put your hand to your chest.
I'm like, it makes me think of my family.
It is incredibly stressful. What if you just end up with a bunch of broken junk too?
But I mean, you also end up with cool stuff. Like I think it's fun to see. Like I'm like, oh yeah, dig through that treasure. Like I think it'd be fun to do as long as it's not like your responsibility to then have to deal with the stuff you find.
Yeah.
I would have fun digging through it.
Absolutely. But then you'd have to figure out what to do with all this stuff. No thanks.
That's all I have for this episode. Are you ready for the next one?
I am. Season 6, episode 14, episode 134. New guys, new lies. Spencer wakes up next to Caleb. She goes to make coffee and finds her phone and a bunch of texts from the friends and the text with the devil emoji. Oh, I forgot to mention also that they don't know, it's like a block sender. She meets the friends at the Radley. They wonder if it's Sarah. Hannah gives us an ad for Blue Bottle. This episode has 2 specific instances where there's like a direct ad. It's not even product placement. It's like, wow, Blue Bottle. I love it so much. I would never go anywhere without my Blue Bottle coffee.
Well, but instead it's like, man, I miss Blue Bottle. And like, they don't even have a fucking cup of Blue Bottle. It's not like she's like, oh yeah, Jordan brought it for me when he came from New York, like, because I love it so much. It's like literally just spoken about.
It's weird. And there's another one that comes up later for something else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's Caleb and Yvonne. Who are they? It's
The Tonight Show.
That's what it is.
They're on Periscope. They're watching The Tonight Show on Periscope.
It's super weird.
Or no, Periscope's a social media. They're watching The Tonight Show on streaming.
Yeah.
Just streaming.
And then they talk, and then they talk about Periscope. I think RIP. I don't know if Periscope's even around anymore. It's super weird. Oh, that's what the transition to Freeform gets you. We haven't really talked about that, but it's now Freeform. Instead of ABC Family. So there you go. Hannah responds to the devil text. I do wonder if that's something to do with like the new merger and acquisition there. Hannah responds to the devil text asking, do I know you? And
I think it's like ads for things that are like more like adult centric or like older centric, because like the characters are older, the audience is older. So like instead of advertising for like just like, oh, here's this like cute girly phone or whatever, like it's like, or like a family product.
Blatant.
No. Yeah, I'm saying like I'm wondering if that was like part of their decision there was like, oh, well, now we can have these like more adult like coffee ads. Because ABC Family was very like family centric.
Right. I just wonder, it's like, why are they just reading ad copy? I don't know. It's weird.
Podcast. It was the podcast era. Surprised there wasn't a Casper mattress.
Well, but none of these are like podcast stuff.
No, I know, but it's just like that's how ads were on podcasts. You remember it to be like,
Yeah.
I love my Casper mattress. Hello Fresh.
Yep. Yes. I don't know. It's strange.
Me Undies, that was the other one.
Right. What this makes me think of is the 30 Rock, where it's like we'd never do product placement and they step in the elevator with the Snapple bottle.
Yeah. And now, because we watched Josie and the Pussycats recently, it makes me think of that and just like the ads everywhere.
Oh my God. Yes, it's so good. That's an incredible movie. Everybody should go watch that movie. I don't know. I feel like the only thing is I don't know if it would play if you don't know what the hell like VH1 and MTV,
like Total Request Live. Like you need the kind of context of like, here's all these shows we used to watch.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of those jokes will fly over people's head, but I feel like the very pointed talking about how everything is getting you to buy specific things, including this movie, and like your culture is being made by people in a corporate office,
a basement.
Yeah, yeah, great movie. And also, off of that description, it doesn't tell you that the movie is incredibly funny.
It's so funny.
But Hanna responds to the devil text asking, "Do I know you?" And the reply is yes, in all caps. So you know they're serious. Emily calls Allison, and she's at the Rollins family farm, so not appearing in this episode. Aria defends Fitz and says he didn't kill Charlotte. They see a press conference on TV as Lorenzo says they're narrowing down their suspect list. The friends then see Byron come in, and she says, Byron come into the Radley, and then Aria's like, "Oh, I didn't know he was seeing anyone." They get a text that says, "I found what they're looking for," and it includes a picture of a 9-iron golf club. Aria stops Sabrina at the brew. She's asking for Fitz, and Sabrina says he's out of town. Like, when he gets all dark and depressed like this, I don't ask where he goes, but he disappears for a little while, and then he comes back in a few days. Aria asks to be let into his loft because she's working on his book. Sabrina says, "I hear you, but like, I'm not letting you into my boss's apartment." Caleb and Spencer work at Hastings Campaign HQ, aka the main Hastings house. Caleb asks if Spencer snuck out early because of their night together, and Spencer's like, "No, I loved it." Spencer reads through a file on their opponent, which includes a recon on the family. Caleb knows the daughter from the other campaign. He says he's going to head out to hang with Toby, and Spencer says, "I'm okay with that." He's like, "Is that okay?" And Spencer's like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay with that," and it's rather unconvincing. Caleb asks if he should get his own place, and Spencer's like, "As long as I always get the first cup of coffee in the morning, you can stay." And they're all, cute and lovey-dovey.
Not me. You would have to wake me up first, and that seems dangerous. I'm like, as long as I get to sleep in.
People can imagine the if you've seen the Lemmy picture where it's like it's just blinded waking up.
I wake up so angry. You try to wake me up and I'm like already negotiating before I've opened my eyes. Like, I'm like, I don't need to get up. I don't know. I know I told you yesterday that I had all these plans for this day. In fact, they're canceled.
First of all, how dare you?
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm not getting up.
I literally will just straight up tell you no. And you're like, okay. And I'm like, no, I need you to fight with me to get me up.
Feels mean.
How else are we going to get me out of bed?
Gives his toughest battles to
the stronger soldiers. Is that
right.
you?
That's right. That's what I tell myself.
Every time you don't get me up in the morning?
Or for the next time.
Okay.
Hanna FaceTimes
tomorrow morning. You heard it here. Brenton's going to wake me up. He won't.
Hanna FaceTimes with Jordan. He's flying into Philly. Emily is over at Lucas's with Hanna and asks why her and Jordan haven't set a wedding date. Hannah's like, "I'm ready to do that now. I told Spencer her and Caleb can get together." And Emily's like, "Oh, I didn't. Does he like her like that?" And Hannah's like, "It's Spencer. What's not to like?" Which is
girl's
nice.
Girl. What a girl's girl, Hanna.
Uh-huh.
Hannah's trying.
She is.
She doesn't understand that she hasn't gotten over this.
Mm-hmm. But like, she at least can still see, that's my friend. I'm going to talk her.
Well, and that's why she's like, you got to go find out if he likes you too.
Yeah. That's sweet. Poor Hanna. Hanna feels guilty about lying to Jordan about deleting the tape, and she's going to tell Ashley and Jordan that she deleted it. And then if he's okay with that, then they can get married. Toby and Caleb catch up, and we see Toby.
I waited until we were married to tell you about my criminal past.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, we just take it down together. That's fine. I don't care. Lock me up too.
Who's going to feed Herman?
Oh, yes. Has to live with family, unfortunately.
His grandma.
Mm-hmm. Toby and Caleb catch up and hang out, and then we see Yvonne come up, and who is the political opponent of the Hastings' daughter, and Toby and Yvonne are dating. That's who he's building the house for. Caleb and Yvonne are also really good friends. And then there's this ad for the Tonight Show.
They're not really good friends. They've met like a couple times, I thought.
Oh, well, they're just like super comfortable with each other and like joke around. That's what they get along really well is what I should have said. I don't know how long they've known each other, but at least like he's just like, hey, Yvonne, and they like joke and like pal around. Like,
got it. Yeah. They're making jokes about
in that way.
They both love Toby, the handyman.
Yeah. And then Caleb tells us how funny Fallon is, and I'm like, that's not true. Yvonne says Yvonne says she heard Caleb joined the Hastings campaign. Toby's like, oh. And Yvonne leaves, and Toby asks if he's seeing anyone and asks if he's still holding on to Hannah. Caleb's like, well, I connected with someone a few years ago, and like he brings out his favorite catchphrase. Everybody say it with me. It's complicated. And then,
Caleb, it's complicated Rivers. I christened him that. And right. I forgot about, I remembered Spaleb, but I forgot about all this.
How much he does this. It's complicated. You were right on the money. That tells Toby that he's into Spencer. Toby is put off by this, and Caleb's like, if you're not okay with this, just like say the word. And Toby's like, how does she feel? And Caleb's like, she feels the same. Toby's like, well, if it's what you both want, it's not complicated. And he's obviously disappointed, and he's like, I gotta go do things and get ready.
After he has a beer, he's like, I gotta go to lunch. And I'm like, what the fuck?
What are you having a beer for?
What is everyone doing? I used to like work at companies that like people would be like, we're gonna go have a beer with lunch. And I'm like, so we can take a nap under our desks after? Like, what the fuck, guys?
Like 2 to 3 is hard enough without having a beer.
Like the times of 2 to 3, not 2 to 3 beers. I was like, yeah.
We got a really important meeting. Gotta put them away.
Yeah, people would be like, oh yeah, let's get a beer or 2 at lunch. And I'm like, I can't drive my car after that. Like, not that I was driving, but
yeah, I'd just be so sleepy. I wouldn't be able to do that end of the day. It's already horrible enough.
I would go to the gym on my lunch before I would go get a drink.
That's just us.
That was just me being a little too ADHD to sit at my desk.
Hamster wheel.
I would literally go to the gym in Santa Barbara and I'd just go do the Stairmaster for like 20 minutes and then I'd run back to work.
Yeah, that's actually probably like really good though. Like, and they all think you move your body and like you kind of get like some of that antsy energy of like having to sit around in an office all day.
Yeah, well, because I could eat during work like at my desk, like they didn't care. So like I was like, oh, if I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna go do something that I can like turn off my brain.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Aria freaks out to Emily over Fitz being gone and getting the pages from him. She tells Emily to distract Sabrina while she gets Fitz's keys. Emily's like, I do not want to do this. Aria's like, well, I need to see if his 9-iron is missing also. And Emily's like, okay, well, what will they do? What will the two of us do if he did kill Charlotte? Aria's like, well, then we'll know what we're up against. Spencer reads through the opponent's file at the brew and pulls up a page to find Toby. Toby bought an engagement ring and is planning to propose to Yvonne. Spencer notices a black car pull up and take pictures of her in broad daylight with the flash on. Those pictures are absolutely horrible because the window's rolled up. You're not going to get anything.
Well, but also you wouldn't be able to see the flash through the tinted window.
Right, that's true. The tint's horrible on this. Hannah comes back to her parents' house and comes clean to deleting the security footage to her mom. Emily and Sabrina hang out while Aria takes Fitz's keys. Emily feels really guilty about this because she's having a great time with Sabrina. Ashley rips into Hannah for deleting the footage. She says the security footage is backed up at some place called The Farm, and then signaling that this will become an important place later, Chekhov's farm. And then Hannah wants to go there to delete it before the police can get it, and Ashley's like, we can't. But then Ashley does this later, so.
We can't.
I can. Aria breaks into Fitz's apartment. She finds his golf clubs and finds that a 9-iron is in fact there. Phew. Spencer arrives at the Radley for the event. She sees Toby walking around in the corner with the engagement ring. Spencer and Yvonne are supposed to have a setup chat. Like they're going to be like chatting in front of like people for like a live event. And it's all about like getting the young people out to vote. Spencer sees Toby walk off with Yvonne. Spencer gets a text that says, he never put a ring on your finger. Guess she's just better than you. None of these, it really throws me off that these aren't signed A yet.
No, it's just the devil emoji.
It's different emojis.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't write down the emoji, but I did notice that it's different each time. Because this one just has the emoji of the ring, I think.
That's in it. I thought at the end they usually had the little devil emoji.
Devil?
Maybe it was just in the last one.
Maybe. I could be wrong. I didn't jot it down, unfortunately.
It's okay.
Aria goes to leave and notices 2 messages on his machine. There's one message from a woman from Habitat for Humanity and another one from Byron that says he needs to talk about what Fitz saw that night.
I swear to God, like, could you imagine breaking into someone's house and then finding one that they still had a landline
in 2015?
But 2, then 2015, 2016, and then listening to their messages.
Oh, what do you got? Why does he still have an overdue like video at Blockbuster? Where's a Blockbuster anyway?
Not that closed.
Yeah, exactly. Aria comes downstairs and interrupts Emily and Sabrina. This is what I was talking about, where she's just like immediately like, I need to talk to my friend. Emily is annoyed as hell, and Sabrina tells Aria she used to mellow out with weed, and maybe she should try that. When Sabrina leaves, Aria says, I think my dad might have something to do with Charlotte's death. Anna comes clean to Jordan. He says he admires how loyal she is to her friends. You can get ahead of this, just like be truthful from now on. I'll call my dad and ask for his lawyers. Hannah's like, do you have to tell Pappy? And then Jordan's like, he loves you, don't worry. Okay, I have a question for anybody that, Australian listeners. Which I assume, is Jordan Australian?
I don't know.
Pappy seems like a southern thing. But I could be wrong on
I think like lots of people in lots of places call parents and
Pappy?
like different things. Yeah, or
Okay.
like Papa. Like I see
Is
people
Pappy
like
one of those?
like yeah.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
so.
Fair enough. I will get off my soapbox. Hannah then gets a text that says if she tells the cops, she'll end up dead. Hannah calls Spencer, and Spencer wants to tell Caleb and Hannah. Spencer wants to tell Caleb, and Hannah gets defensive for a second about it, but then is like, never mind, I don't know why I'm worrying. Tell Caleb, it's fine. Hannah says she worries about the text, and Spencer says she's going to tell Caleb everything. Spencer then deletes the text she got about the ring and shows Caleb the other text. Spencer calls Emily and says Caleb is doing some techno babble, and he's tracking the text. She's walking downtown and sees Yvonne and Toby and practices what she says, or gonna say to him. Yvonne hugs her and acts all relaxed around her. Yvonne has to run over to move her car because she's getting a ticket right then. Toby then says he saw Spencer in the Radley, and Spencer asks if he's going to propose to her. And then Yvonne is like, hey, Officer Toby, could you help take care of this parking ticket, please?
No. Are you parked illegally?
Yeah, it's not, okay, not legally right. Also,
okay, I think parking tickets are kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But like, I just like, could you imagine like if you were dating a cop to then be like, can you come get me out of breaking the law?
I can.
You can.
What are the other benefits?
There are no benefits to dating.
Exactly. You got to take what you can get.
I mean, steady income.
I guess that's it. Do they still get pensions?
I think so. I mean, it's a government job, right? So like they probably have better.
Damn, I want a pension.
retirements. Well, I think pensions now aren't quite as good
As they used to be.
Yeah, we can look for a government job for you. You want to do marketing for the government?
Guess it depend.
What are you marketing?
Exactly.
The government.
Exactly.
That's how
We're here.
You do things like get people registered to vote by using an episode of Pretty Little Liars.
That's right. I show them the little clip of Yvonne and Spencer.
People are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're
Gen Alpha does not care.
right. Exactly. They're like, what are you trying to go to bed, old man?
Forgot your Rogaine.
Right.
Can see your gray hairs.
God, what was there's like some like takedown text that was just like, how old are you? And it's like 28, and it was just like, do you remember when the dinosaurs died or something? It was like something just like, damn, kids these days, they're just coming out knives. We get an ominous shot of the mailman outside of Emily's house, outside of Aria's window, but staring down Emily. Aria calls her dad, who isn't home, but his car is. He says he's at a meeting and has to go. And we get a cutaway to him in a car, and he turns to someone off camera that says, like, I think she knows. Aria then has a flashback to her parents arguing. Byron is mad that Ella went to see Charlotte. Ella went to hear Charlotte's story so she can know why she kidnapped the girls and is sympathetic to her story. Byron is not swayed by this. Ella says the doctor says she's getting out. My notes wrote getting married. I was like, I don't remember anything about this at all. And then Byron says she will get out over my dead body. In the present, Emily says, where does your dad keep his clubs? And Aria's like, in his car. I usually keep an extra keys in my purse. And then finds that she never puts back Fitz's keys. Uh-oh. Hannah and Jordan meet with the lawyer. Hannah says, I'm screwed, aren't I? And the lawyer's like, only if they can prove that you did it. Tell me everything there is. There can't be any secrets between us, and I can help you out. Hannah looks at the text, and Jordan asks if she told them everything, and she says yes. Spencer visits Toby and finds that Toby is going camping alone, as Yvonne has a lot on her plate, is what he says. Spencer's like, oh, you're pulling a Toby then. And Spencer apologizes to him, and he says, don't, like, no one did anything wrong. And Spencer's like, he should stay in town for tomorrow's event because I bet Yvonne is counting on him. Caleb and Spencer follow the signal trail from the text. Caleb wonders why it was so easy to decrypt. Caleb then asks why Spencer deleted the text about Toby. And Spencer's like, oh, you saw that? And he's like, yeah, it's kind of my job. She didn't want things to get complicated, and it looks like, hey, she's caught the bug from Caleb, and now she's saying his things. He says, it's okay, I get that. Emily goes to the brew and puts back Fitz's key in the lockbox. Sabrina catches her and says, I didn't want to think that that's what happened to it, and then knew that she helped Aria and says, I thought you cared about what I had to say, and then Emily tries to cover and apologize, but Sabrina has none of it. Hannah's at the station with her lawyer and Jordan. The lawyer and Lorenzo go to talk in another room. The lawyer then comes back and is like, Hannah's free to go. Apparently the farm lost the Radley backup drive. Jordan asks if she did that, and Hannah's like, no. Aria looks through
in the police station.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, did you do that? Jordan. We had a story. The lawyer said we can't say anything about this.
Could you imagine being that stupid?
I know. Jordan, shut the fuck up Fridays. Shush. Aria looks through all her old purses for the second set of her dad's car keys and finds them. Aria opens her dad's trunk and finds the 9-iron missing from his golf clubs. Caleb and Spencer arrive at a storage unit with no lock on it. They open the door to find a trash can and nothing else. They open it to find black hoodies and gloves and a phone. The phone gets a text that says, I don't lurk in the shadows, I hide in plain sight. Spencer says, it's happening again, isn't it? Ashley comes home and pours herself a scotch. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a giant hard drive that has a label for the Radley backup. Spencer and Yvonne are having a fireside chat with journalists about getting the youth out to vote for local elections. They open to questions, and then we see Aria and Emily are in the crowd, and they call Hannah and say that Ashley just got in the elevator. Hannah then goes into Ashley's office but can't figure out her mom's password. They hand the phone over to Caleb, who tries to guess the password and is like, try your birthday. Hannah tells him she's glad about Spencer telling her about the text. Caleb tells Aria and Emily that the new A was expecting them, and Aria says it has to be Sarah. Caleb asks if they're absolutely sure Allison's not in town, and sometimes people don't have full sets of clubs. And Emily says, oh yeah, and he doesn't have the exact club they were trying to miss, and that's like was in the text, and Caleb's like, I was trying to be calming. Hannah comes back and says neither Byron or Fitz are staying at the Radley. Because they're trying to track them down. Sarah still
that's why she was in her mom's office, so she was trying to check and see who was checked into the hotel.
Right. Sarah still has her room and put on a do not disturb sign and instructed the staff to never go in. The session finishes and Yvonne tells Spencer it was fun doing this. Spencer goes over to Toby and says, I like her. Toby says, you were right yesterday. Leaving would have been a mistake. Spencer says, going back, it's hard not to fall. Coming back, it's hard not to fall back in old patterns. And Toby's like, it's just temporary, right? You're going to go back to DC eventually? Spencer says yes. Spencer walks over to the friends, and they notice in the picture not the 5-iron, the 9-iron, that the floor pattern matches the Radley's floors. Aria gets a call from her dad saying, I need to talk to you alone now. We then see the mailman from before walking out in a Radley uniform. They get in a black car, and they take off their mask to reveal it's Johnny Knoxville, and welcome to Jackass. It looks exactly like the Jackass mask.
Oh, I was like, why are you
talking
saying
about?
That? I believe you.
Yeah, it looks exactly like.
Okay, so Spencer and Caleb fucked. Important information. Just get it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Do we think their relationship is going to last?
They've got strong headwinds.
They do.
I probably not through the end. Well, you know what? At this point, I hope they do.
Me too. I kind of like them.
Yeah, that's
See,
all. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like a shock to the system, but like we're at where we're at and we should move forward.
That's how I felt about this too. I was like, okay, like it took me a couple episodes and I was like, you know what?
Yeah, you made the decision to have these characters be together, and I think walking them back to then be back with their old partners is like regression and weird in ways that I don't think are good character beats.
It's one thing to like date your ex's friend years later. It's another thing to then go back to your ex like after dating their friend.
Yes.
Like it's just there's a difference.
Right. And I don't think Spobey should get back together because Toby just needs to work out his own issues. But
he loves Spencer. He needs to quit his job.
Yeah.
Toby,
go back to being a carpenter.
Let's talk about Toby.
Just gonna say it every single time.
Yvonne. I did look up who Yvonne was. Yvonne is played by an actress named Cara or Cara. It's Kara Royster. She is about 30 now. She wasn't 30 then. I mean, I know that's shocking because like she was actually
Fair
like
enough.
23, you know, at the time, give or take. She
okay.
was born the same year I was, so she was like around the right age, 22, 23. Her dad played professional baseball, and she's
that's so funny.
She's been in like some other things, but nothing like. I don't think anything you would really know. She was in like one episode of Scream Queens. She was in some episodes of Casey Undercover, which I believe was Zendaya's show on Disney. Like it was.
Oh, got it.
It was after PLL. So it was after
interesting.
Our
Okay.
time.
Okay, wait. This is exactly like that Maya picture you showed me yesterday. The actress who played Maya was apparently in Buffy at 17.
Or 18, playing 17.
Yeah.
And then she was like 30 when she was on Pretty Little Liars, and because of the way they did her makeup, because like at the time of Buffy, like everyone was wearing like really dark eyeliner, and it was I mean 90s 2000s makeup. Like,
I think it said 97 on the picture,
so it was like, you know, like you got the dark eyeliner and stuff like that. Whereas like when she's playing Maya, she's very fresh faced and very light, and she looks really young, and
it's really funny.
I think it's really funny too. Yeah, it's like age is kind of hard to tell by just looking at someone and depending on the makeup. But yeah, so that's her. She's done some things, you know.
Nothing else that I would really know.
Not that I could think of like as I was looking through it, but I did look it up so that you would not.
Yes, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You know, you don't know what Yvonne does.
I don't, and I don't know how long she's going to be around.
You don't. Do you think she's not going to be around the whole time?
Oh, no, she doesn't seem like it.
Yvonne seems temporary to you?
Yeah, maybe not through like season 7, but maybe through the rest of season 6. That'd be my guess.
Do you think that she's going to get to live in the house Toby's building?
Oh no, this relationship is absolutely doomed.
Is Toby actually building the house for Spencer?
I hadn't thought about it, but he is, isn't he? That's awful. Oh no.
Ezra's writing to Aria about Aria, pretending it's Nicole, and Toby's building a house for Spencer. Okay, so but nothing really encapsulates men quite like that. Like, I'm for real. Like, think about like the not all men, obviously. I hate saying that phrase. I can't believe I said that. But like,
you don't have to qualify.
Some of you have gone to therapy and have worked through your shit, but some of you haven't. And the ones that haven't definitely aren't listening to this podcast. But I'm like, I'll love you. And it's like all women and men who have like actually handled their shit. But it's they're like, well, I'm doing this thing for this person, but really it's because they love this other person and they can't get over it.
Big gestures, yeah.
Yeah. Or it's not even big gestures for them. Like they're just like, well, I have my replacement version of this person, so I'm going to treat them how I would of the person that I actually love.
Right.
And it's sad.
It's really sad.
That's why you were only ever allowed to love me.
That's right. If I ever learn to build a house, you're the one who gets to live in it.
Thank you.
And it's actually in my heart built for you.
What if we designed a house and someone else built it?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
You learned how to use a drill this year, so I'm just like...
Well, how many 2x4s do you think your house needs? 6?
You got your Lincoln logs out.
Like put like a small board nailed to a long board. Make it progress.
I love you, and I love all of your skills, and I don't think that DIY is like... No.
I'd be so angry,
you were
too.
really good when we stained that table at picking the color for the stain. My mom and I were really impressed.
Thank you.
You color matched really well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You don't have to prove to anybody on the call that I can do this, though.
But
Call that work has infected my brain.
See, I got myself a nice little corporate man.
Oh,
He doesn't need power tools. He's got computer. He got Zoom. It's corporate Ken. He's got Zoom. He's got a MacBook and he's got an iPhone.
Job is spreadsheets.
Your job is newsletter.
God, corporate Ken's job would absolutely be Zoom.
That's yours, baby.
Me.
Okay, so anyway, so you don't think Yvonne's going to be around. You think the house is for Spencer.
Yeah. As soon as you brought that up, it's like, oh no, it totally is.
We don't have to rediscuss. I had written down very obvious. Toby still cares about Spencer, has a beer, and then goes to lunch when he's like, I've got to go to lunch.
I'm so hungry, Caleb. I have to eat alone.
Well, but I have to go and then he doesn't propose to Yvonne.
Nope.
What do you
Isn't that
feel
interesting?
about Spencer knowing, it's like Chekhov's ring, Spencer knowing that he's going to propose before he does it?
Oh, that's got to throw him off so bad. That he's just like, wait, why is this person that I'm not over asking if I was going to propose this person? How does she know?
She saw him with the ring.
Right.
So that's the other thing. Why didn't he propose to Yvonne or Spencer?
Yeah. Well, the boy can't get his feelings together. He's got to be big, tough exterior, Toby, and bury everything deep down. I got to go on camping trips to sort through things alone. Just like Luke in Gilmore Girls, he has to figure out that even on his dark days, he can let people around.
Yeah, and Luke does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do some kind of weird things with this character, but
yeah.
And then they bring in April, and you're like, why would you do that? Because like Luke would have just been Luke immediately running to Lorelai, being like, I have a kid.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been hiding.
They don't do it.
They don't do that well, but and it's not April's fault, but
Yeah. Just emblematic of a bigger issue.
Anyway. When else do we think Toby's ran away? We think he ran away from Spencer. Why do you think Toby ran away from Spencer?
He had big, complicated feelings. I mean, eventually the rubber was hitting the road and she wasn't taking, things weren't working out with him telling her how to feel and do things. And also I think she was like trying to go through shit. And like the way like he says like, oh, everywhere he went, things reminded of her of like whatever. And he was probably just trying, I don't know how to help you. That sort of thing.
She's like, I don't want to be in Rosewood. And he's like, I want to be in Rosewood because that's where I'm a cop. And it's like, transfer.
Exactly. And then when she's like, I'm not going to come back to Rosewood or something, he's like, it's fine. And then ran away.
I think it really highlights when Toby's like, you're going to leave, right? Like, he's like, you're still leaving? You're still getting out of here? Excuse me.
If your ex still has that much sway over you, you need to do some searching.
Mm-hmm. I have exes that like if I saw, I'd cross the street. Like we just don't need to talk.
Right.
There's nothing for us to say to each. If I recognized them,
that could be a perfectly viable thing for Toby to do. Like we can't be friends.
Yeah, or there's people you date that you never were friends with.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have that kind of relationship. So like there's no reason to be friends or talk.
Yeah.
And like it would be very easy for Toby to be like, you know what?
I can't. I'm never not going to be able to see you this way.
Yeah. Like I don't want to be your friend.
Yeah. If we're not together, then we can't be around each other. And that's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. Would you have opened the storage unit like Spencer and Caleb?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you have thought it was like a trap you were walking into?
Probably. I would have been a little bit more on guard probably than they were. You don't know what's going to happen, like I've watched enough Indiana Jones to think that like if you're going to enter something that like where you're not supposed to belong, it's going to attack. Either a boulder or a dart.
I do love that ride. Why is Allie
not the movies, the ride.
Traveling with Rollins? Yeah, the movies are. I've watched some of them, I'm sure. I remember when I was on TV once when we visited my grandma and like up here, and I I think it was Temple of Doom.
Was it the one where they pull out the guy's heart out of his chest?
I don't know. I don't think I stayed in the room that long.
Okay.
So think about.
Temple of Doom has Short Round, and then so is there like a small sidekick character?
This would have been like 18 years ago.
Okay. Is there a blonde woman screaming for help?
Maybe.
Okay. I think that's Temple of Doom.
Why is Allie traveling with Rollins?
Because they're together. And he wanted, she just needs to get out of Rosewood for a while. Go to the Rollins family farm.
Okay.
Rollins family farm.
Let's-
That sounds like like an amusement park or something. Local amusement park. Come on down to Rollins family farm.
That's where you get your pumpkins.
Yes. And you go do hay rides and things.
Let's talk about Hannah.
Okay.
Hannah, we already said she's a girl's girl rooting for Spencer.
That's right. We love it.
There's security footage tape at the farm. She did
Rollins
not go
family
get it.
is the Rollins family farm where they keep all the tapes.
Oh, hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, probably not.
This farms were mentioned twice in the same episode.
Coincidence?
Why do we think Ashley was like, no, and then like went and stole the tape herself? Does she not think that there's security cameras at the security farm?
Who watches the security farm?
Or did someone else steal the tape for her?
Who watches the Watchmen? I think Ashley probably went there herself. She's like, I'm not going to let Hannah get involved with this. I'm going to do this. Hannah, not Hannah. Ashley is known to make some pretty wild decisions.
She is.
So I wouldn't be surprised that Ashley just went down there herself and is just like, yanks it out. And left the label on. I think the first thing I would have done was taken that label off.
I think I would have destroyed it.
And instead of bringing it home.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm going to plug it into my computer.
Why was Byron at the Radley? I didn't have a lot on Hannah. There's not a lot on Hannah and not a lot on Emily in this episode.
Okay, here's my very first thought. He's back with Meredith.
What? So then the voicemail to Ezra is that Ezra saw him with Meredith?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
Okay.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
So then is Meredith in the car with him?
Yes.
When he's like, oh, she knows.
Yeah.
Wait, this is a really fun theory. I don't think it's correct. I don't remember.
I was gonna say, with the tone in which you're going, like, oh, how exciting! It's just like, this is not right.
Why is Byron mad that Ella visited Charlotte?
Oh, I think that's 100% a protection thing. Like, how dare you visit this person, that put our daughter through horrible shit. But I think this is also like part of leading up to, it's a lot sorry. This is what the show is dealing with, is like forgiveness and rehabilitation. What is the correct thing, and how do people process that for people that go through that are victims?
Yeah.
And then process with people coming out on the other side of
like, people should be allowed to heal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the people that are victims have to forgive them or allow them in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, how do you cope with that?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we do get more on that, especially with like Ella being like, I like heard her story, and like she comes out like sympathetic toward Charlotte, which is like fair. But it'll be interesting if we get any more on that. It definitely seems like by not, I mean, the show is playing directly with, if you are someone that cannot move on from this or like find a way to like live your normal life, then it just drives you crazy and makes you miserable and makes you do stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that ends up with Byron's at, or if it's just a complete red herring and he's like seeing someone else.
Where's Byron's 9-iron?
Where is Byron's 9-iron? Okay, I think it is at the Radley. Okay. Alternative. I do think it's that Byron is seeing someone. I think when Aria is like, oh, I didn't know he was seeing someone. I think that is like actually true, and is like trying to keep it under wraps because whoever he's seeing is like, uh-oh, this would really cause some problems.
Who is it then?
Actually.
Oh, well, remember there was that episode where he came over to print something.
Uh-huh.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
And when in doubt, when we need a plot line, we put Ashley in. Do you think Ashley and Byron stole the tape together then?
Oh,
because it protects both of their kids?
Yeah. I'm
going to really laugh if that's the actual plot line and I've just like given it to you because I don't fucking remember it.
Come on, I gotta get something here. I think him and Fitz being out of town are coincidental.
Why is Ezra's key just like out for anyone to steal under the register?
Unlocked lockbox, yeah, just ready to go.
They literally had someone tormenting people.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Sabrina just leaves it unlocked? I like Sabrina, but like, come on. You gotta keep that thing closed.
Emily and Sabrina. Is it over before it even began?
No. I think there's gonna be a way that Emily really like patches things up. I think they're gonna be like a romantic pairing before the end of they're gonna be at least a couple ish kind of thing before the end of the season.
Okay. Who's the Radley employee mailman masked person?
It's really funny. I'm telling you, look up like video. I mean, they're fun sections. Or watch the first Jackass movie. It's actually it's a great time. I mean, you can watch all of them. You know, they're a good time. But it does look like the old person makeup that they do in those. It's got to be A. The new A.
All right. Do you want to take us to Theory Corner?
Yeah. Don't expect much pontificating on New A just yet because we have not really gotten much. This is probably going to be a pretty light session. But anyway, let us step into... Theory Corner. Welcome to Theory Corner. I'm still getting used to the new office, but here we are.
Hey, you're still unpacking, it looks like. Or are those files?
Those are files. I'm just, it's a hard time. I got them a little messy around here.
Mm.
Yeah. Hard drinking.
But you could hang up your deer.
That's right. I need my picture of the deer on the wall. So I guess at this point, it's a little, we don't know anything about the new A's motives, really, other than it seems to be trying to, again, re-engage and restart the game. I think maybe that's just what it is at this point, is just to keep everybody on the loop and have power over them, and they can do this again through Charlotte's death. Charlotte, I feel, obviously knew this person and got drawn out. Maybe someone that they met through Radley. That would be my guess, and had gone back a long ways with them, or maybe drew Charlotte out because of what Charlotte had done. Charlotte feeling guilty about her past actions and things, and this person drew them out, like kind of like antagonizing Charlotte. And then that's how they ended up killing him. Well, okay. Actually, sorry, I take that back. This new A is still trying to do the game. Knows who killed Charlotte. Charlotte is not necessarily the new A. I think there are a number of people that could have killed Charlotte, and the new A just knows about this happened. I think Sarah is maybe playing up how badly her hands are burned. I don't think, obviously they were very burned, but is playing some sort of con in that way. So Sarah could potentially be on that list. This is another case of people are pointing the finger at her very early in the season. So you kind of go, probably not.
Probably not her.
Someone who we haven't really gotten around here, and that we did get, it supposedly seemed like they were like A-okay with her, was Mona. What did Mona possibly do?
That's like Mona opted to let her out.
Mm-hmm. So was Mona just doing that to get revenge? Was Mona not actually okay with it? And kind of saw the writing on the wall and was like, okay, she's going to get out, so I'm going to play along, so I can do my own thing. But that's potentially it. I think the Byron and Fitz are dead ends, or red herrings, essentially. I think maybe the Fitz thing is like he saw Charlotte going to meet with someone and was going to go attack her, but like didn't, and so feels like guilty about, wanting to kill her, essentially. For like his motives of like, I could have killed her that night. And then also happened to see Byron in the car with someone. I think that's where that's going.
In the car with Byron. Yeah.
Someone in the car that Aria knows.
Ooh, look at you.
Yep.
A little in sync. Listen to a lot of in sync, so that's what you get.
Let's see, and I don't think Jason would be. I think Jason is just trying to diss himself as much as possible. I don't think that it could be Jason, but just damn it!
Here we go, one more time.
Camera died in the middle there, so okay.
Jason.
Thought on Jason. Yeah, I don't think he is just. I don't think he has anything to do with this once again. That's just Jason's lot in life.
I can't remember when we get Jesus Jason, but I'm very excited.
I do know about his long hair.
Yes, because you saw pictures when you looked him up.
His Fabio look. Like when Fabio ran into the goose on the coaster.
Oh.
But I don't know if there's anything, if I have anybody else on my list to kind of point to. I mean, and there is the possibility that it was one of the friends that did it. I don't know if we're quite there yet. But because it seems like everybody is mostly counted for and wouldn't have actually gone after. Anybody I'm missing? Well, not that I can think of at least right now that's at the top of my list. For anybody that's missing here. It was Leslie.
Oh, that's a fun one.
I guess I don't really want Leslie back. That's kind of it where we're at. It's still pretty light on A specifics and wider mystery because everybody's just kind of dealing with a lot of shit in this new status quo. All right.
All right.
Well, that is it. Until next week, we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Well, final thoughts. Any? No?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I got it covered.
And unlike Spencer, you don't shop in other people's carts.
That's right. Keep things to my own cart.
It's just me sitting in the cart. Me and Herman.
That's right. Just pushing you along.
Sitting in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fun to ride in a shopping cart. I haven't done that since I was like a teenager.
We can do that next time we go to the store.
No, you're not supposed to.
If over a certain weight.
It's just like you're not supposed to put anyone in the basket part. You're not supposed to put your kids in the basket part. You're only supposed to put them in the kid part. I've read
That's because the store's liability.
I've read the rules on the shopping cart. And I think like there's lots of reasons why people, if you have a bunch of kids and stuff, like, you know, like I don't think they should like hardcore enforce those rules.
Right.
But like, I don't think we should be breaking them at 31. I don't want to get kicked out of the Safeway. There's only one in our town.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. When you put it like that, I don't like the rules, but you got to follow them.
All right. Well,
when we're not here, we're riding carts in Safeway. I mean, not doing that. You can find this podcast. What am I talking about? I don't have any other plugs to point you to.
You can find this podcast
on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find us on YouTube at dead_ends. You can also write an email to us, deadendspcast@gmail.com. Got any questions, things you want to discuss on the show? You can also leave a YouTube comment. We love talking to people on YouTube comments. And on your audio podcast, you can rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it. I think you can do that on most platforms at this point. So it really helps us out because we're a small, humble podcast.
So small, so humble.
That's right. And yeah, I don't have anything else to point you to. So the intro to that plugs was very off.
That's okay. Sometimes we're just going to be weird.
That's
It's been
right.
getting weirder and weirder
It is.
around here. We got a comment from one of our regular listeners who was like loving how unhinged it gets. And I was like, if only you knew.
It's certainly a time, let me tell you.
We're having a time.
We're having a time.
But it's a good time.
Yeah.
And we're glad you're here.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, love you. Bye.
We're still here. Gonna find out. And now we say goodbye.
Now you say goodbye.